What's it actually like to live in Dallas, Texas in 2023? I get this question all the time, and honestly, it's a really tough question to answer. One of the most common comments I get after showing people around town is that it's way different than what they expected. Now, there's both some really positive things that people weren't expecting about Dallas, but there's also some negative things that they realize once they get here as well. And in today's video, we're going to talk about what it's actually like to live in Dallas, both the positives and the negatives, and discuss what people actually think once they get here and tour Dallas. By the way, my name is Michael Caraway. I'm a realtor here in the Dallas, Texas Metro, and on this channel, we talk about what it's like to live in Dallas, as well as some of the best places to live, so you can find the perfect place to call home here in the Dallas, Texas Metro. So like I said, I get to have a lot of conversations with people in the car, when they visit Dallas and they're trying to figure out, hey, is this a good place for me to live or not? One of the first comments or questions that I get is the weather in Texas. So I've actually created a video about this. If you want to dive deep, make sure to check out the video above. But the most common comment that I hear is that summer is way more tolerable than what a lot of people make it out to be. Even before I moved here, I assumed that Dallas was extremely hot, and honestly, it does get hot in the summer. But the one thing that it has going for it is that it's not as humid as some other places in the US. So yes, you do get a lot of days that are above 100 degrees in the summer, but it's a little more tolerable in my opinion than a place like Iowa where I grew up, where humidity is terrible, or even a place like Houston where the humidity is very high. The other cool thing about Dallas is that winter is way nicer than what you would find in the Midwest or on the Northeast. Yes, you're gonna get snow a few times in the year, but generally speaking, you're gonna be in that 40 to 50 degree range for a high and only get down into the high 30s for a low. So you do get a little bit of that colder weather, but it's still hot enough to be able to get outside and go for a walk or still play sports. Anything that you're interested in doing outside, you can still do in the winter here in the Dallas, Texas Metro. Now, spring and fall are some of the best months around because you get really, really nice weather. You're constantly in that 70-degree range. So it's beautiful for being able to get outside. You're not having to worry about the heat or the cold. So beautiful times in the Dallas, Texas Metro. Now, another thing that people ask about all the time in regards to weather are there tornadoes here? And the fact is that yes, there are tornadoes. But how common are they? Well, yeah, they do happen in the Dallas, Texas Metro. Personally, never actually seen one. And generally speaking, you see a lot more as you get out more into the country, into a little bit more of the rural land, but they do happen in the metro, and there has been some, more tragic scenarios that happen. So tornadoes are something that you have to deal with if you live in Texas, but they're not as common as what you might think. Now, along with tornadoes and storms in general, we get a lot of hail here, and that's reflected in a lot of insurance costs that you'll see if you do buy a home here. Home insurance and auto insurance can be a little bit higher because hail is so common. So you're gonna have to deal with that if you live in Texas. The other topic that I hear people talk about all the time when they're considering a move here is the landscape. A lot of people think it's way different than what they expected, and honestly, there's two areas specifically that they comment on. The first is that it's extremely green here. You see a lot of trees and green grass, and they were kind of expecting more of a desert environment compared to some of the other places, because Dallas has that reputation of being hot. So they're really pleasantly surprised when they see all the green grass and all the trees here. It's really just a beautiful scene. And the second thing I hear people comment on is that it isn't as flat as they thought it would be. Dallas does have your reputation of being a little bit more on the flat side, but that being said, you get some changes in elevation throughout the Dallas, Texas Metro, and some areas are definitely more than the others. But generally speaking, people do think it's a little bit hillier than what they were expecting. All right, moving on to a different category of comments I hear all the time. We're gonna go ahead and shift our attention over to entertainment. And one of the comments I hear all the time is that people are really blown away by how much there is to do in Dallas. As far as entertainment options go, there are a ton of things to do. The entire Metroplex is really known for its amazing shopping. You've got places closer to Dallas like North Park or the Galleria, or even if you get out into the North Suburbs, you've got an amazing place to shop in Stonebriar, or higher end shops in Legacy West. You can go to the Grandscape area, go to the Star, you can go to downtown McKinney. There's a ton of shopping here, especially even if you go to Allen, for example. Just in Allen alone, there is an amazing amount of shopping to do in Allen. So there's just an unlimited amount of options for shopping if that's your thing. Or potentially even looking at if you're a sports fan. There are so many opportunities to watch live sports, not only in Dallas, but also in the suburbs. Obviously you've got the Dallas Cowboys and the Dallas Mavericks and the Texas Rangers, all in the DFW Metroplex. But if you're looking at having something a little bit closer to home, if you live in the North Suburbs, but even in Frisco, you have the Frisco Rough Riders, which is a minor league baseball team. You've got FC Dallas, which is a professional soccer team. You've got the Texas Legends, which is a G League basketball team for the Dallas Mavericks. And the Frisco Fighters, which is an indoor football league. And that's not to mention all of the high school sports that are going all the time. And in Texas, high school football and other high school sports are a huge thing. And the best way that I can showcase that is just by the stadiums that you'll see for high school football teams. You know, coming from Iowa, I am not used to seeing actual stadiums for high school. What I'm used to is small little fields, potentially in like a cornfield where you play football. Whereas in Texas, it literally looks like college stadiums. So you're going to be blown away by just the sheer size and how much is put into the high school football stadiums here. So Texans love their sports, and you get a lot of that. You get a lot of options to watch live sports in the Dallas, Texas metro. Now, as far as dining goes, there are an unlimited amount of dining options in the Dallas, Texas metro. Honestly, it's overwhelming how many options that you have to get a good meal out and about. You know, you have your mixture of mom and pop shops. You have really high-end, steakhouses and Italian restaurants. You've got a ton of diverse food options as far as Asian-inspired, Indian-inspired. You got your barbecue. You got your traditional American. Tons of options, but of course, nothing can beat the Tex-Mex options that are available in Dallas, Texas. Texans love their Tex-Mex, and it is available everywhere. There is a place that you could probably try every single day of the week, and you never run out of options to go as far as Tex-Mex goes. So the food is absolutely amazing. If you want some recommendations if you're visiting town, make sure to reach out to me. Would be happy to give you some of my favorite spots. And the last thing as far as entertainment goes that people love to do in Texas is getting outside. Downtown Dallas, you have Clyde Warren Park, which is an amazing park that's actually above one of the interstates in Dallas. And there is a ton of things that go on there, a lot of festivals, you get food trucks there all the time. Just a cool spot to check out if you're in town. White Rock Lake is also another great place to check out. It's really beautiful. There's trails around the entire lake to be able to walk or jog or whatever you're into doing, biking, things like that. It's an awesome place to go, and it hooks up into the Dallas Arboretum, which is an amazing place to check out. Or up north here where I am at, I'm constantly going to Oak Point Nature Preserve, which is a huge nature preserve in Plano, Texas, and one of my favorite places to check out. So if you're looking for hiking, biking, or just walking with the family, Oak Point Park is an amazing place to check out. Or you also have Arbor Hills. It's a very similar situation in Plano as Oak Point Park. Or another one of my favorites is Bonnie Wink Park in McKinney. Again, you're gonna find a lot of trails there. But in Bonnie Wink, you're gonna have a really good playgrounds for kids. You have a dog park. You got a little lake there that you can go around. So tons of options for things to do outside in Dallas, Texas. So if that's important to you to be able to get outside, then you're gonna find a lot of things to do in Dallas. So another thing that I constantly get comments on, and one that I personally experienced when I decided to move from Denver to Dallas, is that the people here are super nice. Now obviously you have your outliers. There's gonna be the pretentious people. There's gonna be people that are not nice to you. That's in every city. But generally speaking, people are super nice here. My wife and I have found it really easy to make friends here. When we moved from Denver to Dallas, we just kind of put ourselves out there in the sense of, we went to coffee shops all the time with our family. We went to restaurants all the time with our family. And naturally, you just start meeting people. That was not the case in Denver. We didn't meet a ton of people just through like circumstance of being at the same place at the same time. We would make friends through our work and all that kind of stuff. In Dallas, it's been a different story. We'll pick a random day on the week to go to a coffee shop with the family, let the kids run around, and we'll spark up conversation with another couple there or another family there, and they end up turning into friends. And we've made some of our best friends that way. So from our perspective, our experience is that it's really easy to make friends in Dallas. People are super friendly. And overall, if you're looking for that, if that's a high value thing for you to be around nice people and welcoming people, then Dallas could be a good fit for you. Now, one of the most important things about living in Dallas is obviously the housing, and a lot of people are actually moving to Dallas for the housing specifically. One of the first things that stands out about the Dallas, Texas housing market is that you have a ton of brick houses. Most neighborhoods contain pretty much 100% brick houses. You get some outliers that have, more of the traditional like wood siding, but generally speaking, you're gonna find mostly brick houses, which in my opinion is way prettier than what you find in the Midwest or in the Northeast, where you get more like the vinyl siding or some wood siding, things like that. It's a beautiful environment, and it makes even the oldest neighborhoods really beautiful still. Brick just ages really well. The other thing you'll notice about the housing market in Dallas is that it's, generally speaking, way more affordable here than a lot of other places that are popular to move to right now in the US. There's a price point for everybody in Dallas. If you have a $200,000 budget, you're able to find a home or a condo all the way up to the multi-million-dollar range. You're gonna get a wide variety of homes. You're gonna be able to find that perfect place in Dallas for you. As long as you're open to exploring a lot of different areas, there's a place for every price point in the Dallas, Texas metro. And that's why we've seen a lot of people from California or Illinois, Washington State, New York, they're moving to Texas a lot of times, for the lifestyle, but two, because of the housing. You can get such a better house here compared to a lot of other places. You can get newer houses, you get bigger houses, and people just love that about Texas. Your money just goes further. So that is a huge win for the housing market in Texas. The other thing that jumps out to a lot of people about Texas specifically is the really well done master plan communities. I think of places like Windsong Ranch or Trinity Falls or Mustang Lakes or the Tribute. There's a ton of great master plan communities where you get really nice newer homes. You get a bunch of trails and a lot of great landscaping. You got community pools. You've got almost like a country club feel in the sense that a lot of them have tennis courts or pickleball courts, just a ton of stuff to do right within your neighborhood, which makes it great for people that just want those things to do in the neighborhood and never have to even leave to do it. And the last thing that I'll bring up about housing that I hear people talk about all the time is that the fact that there's no basements. This is a huge pet peeve of mine, honestly. I miss my basement that I had in Colorado and in Iowa, because that's where you just store all your stuff and it's kind of a hangout spot as well, right? You do not get that in the Dallas, Texas metro. And so storage can kind of be an issue for a lot of people. And one of the problems that you kind of have to figure out if you do move to Dallas and you had a basement before, you've got to get rid of a lot of stuff, or you just have to be prepared to potentially get a storage garage, or just be very intentional about buying a house that does have a lot of storage on the first or potentially second floor. All right, so let's move to getting around town. Transportation. What is it like in Dallas? Well, what I hear a lot of people say is that things are really spread out. In a lot of places where people are moving from, for example, California or New York, people are used to being able to have the ability to walk places or to be able to use public transportation and for everything to be really dense and together. But in the DFW metro and in Dallas specifically on the north side, especially if you're looking at the suburbs, things are really spread out. You have a lot of things to do. For example, like in the Plano and Frisco area, you've got the Star, Legacy West, you've got the Rail District, you've got Grandscape in the Colony, you've got the Boardwalk, just tons of stuff, in those two communities, but they're not close to each other by any means. You can't just walk from one place to the other. So you've got these mini urban areas, but they're kind of just in their own little silos. And to be able to get to the next place, you need to drive. And so that's something that not a lot of people are prepared for when they get to Texas. It's a surprise to them. So just keep that in mind that, if you're moving to Texas and you're moving to Dallas specifically in the suburbs, you're going to have to be relying on a car. It's very hard to live in the suburbs without a car because you don't have a ton of public transportation options, and you do need to be able to get from one place to the other in the means of a car. So if that is important to you, if being in an area where you can walk places or bike places without having to have a car, then either you're going to need to look closer to downtown Dallas or potentially reconsider a move to Dallas altogether. Now, the other comment that I get all the time about Dallas is that there is so much growth and development happening in Dallas. It's absolutely insane. You see cranes up all the time. You see buildings under construction, skyscrapers under construction all around the DFW metro. And you have to ask, why is that? Well, you have a lot of people moving here. You've got a lot of headquarters that are actually relocating to the DFW metro, specifically a lot in the North Dallas suburbs. And so there's just a ton of buzz around here, and a lot of people believe that over the next few years we're going to see a ton of growth, which is why you're seeing so much development. So with that, there are a ton of job opportunities, and something that's really cool about Dallas is that you don't necessarily have to be commuting to downtown Dallas to have a job. There are a ton of great careers that exist in the suburbs in Dallas, specifically on the north side, where you can live and work in the same community. For example, in Plano, you have a huge business park in Granite Park, and there are a ton of companies that headquarter out of there that you could go to. Richardson is another hot spot for a lot of headquarters. You've got Frisco, which is projected to have more office space than downtown Dallas eventually. Tons of opportunities for work there. So job growth is huge in Dallas, and there is a huge opportunity for you to be able to get in and get a great job and grow within those companies as they continue to expand in Texas. Now, another thing you're going to hear about Dallas is that the school system is really good. You have a lot of amazing school districts in the Dallas, Texas metro and Texas in general. You know, a lot of people use a tool like greatschools.org to look specifically into school districts on whether they're rated high or not. And, you know, you can take those with a grain of salt and make your own opinion on each school district. But generally speaking, you get really good schools in Texas. And what is deemed a bad school in the Dallas, Texas metro is actually probably a really good school if you compare it to the national standard. And so the school systems here are really something that Texans are proud of, and I think that that's a huge strength of moving to this area is that you're going to be around a lot of great schools. So we covered a lot today about what it's like to live in the Dallas, Texas metro, but obviously there's so much more to cover. So no matter where you are in the process, reach out. I'd love to help you figure out if Dallas is the right place for you or not. Shoot me a text, give me a call, send me an email anytime. Seriously, I'm here to help you find the perfect place to land here in the Dallas, Texas metro. Till next time, I'll see you later.